We have entertained some fantastic modern metal work together. Of course, in my opinion, I state this, in view of Never Obey Again's debut album, The End of an Era, which some of you might know the name if you know my work. We canvassed this project fully some time ago. Nearly fully, the only exception being the opening instrumental, but the following 9 pieces to that, all recognized here at different points because of the way the album's release was structured. It's a journey that I think back on fondly. And it's not a shock that I would come to that conclusion considering Never Obey Again is yet another European metal attribution that I welcome here. Inevitable I'd fall in favor, right? Many of you know, if you're frequent viewers of my work, I love this space. Though I hop around the globe continually because there's talent abroad, of course, especially in the music sphere and metal voices, or metal and rock, I'll be inclusive of both extremes. I've been very impressed by what I've seen offered today. But Never Obey Again, and that's in view of either big name artists or, like Never Obey Again, emerging names, but names that deserve to grow. And I hope that some of you who have not yet welcomed the graces of Never Obey Again, I want you to feel that this space is as approachable for you as it was for me, because the first 4 pieces I entertained from this group that were very much the carrot that lured me in, those being, in order of how they were recognized here, The Storm, Toxic Feelings, Wake Up, and the Cranberries cover of Zombies. I was quite impressed by the range and delivery on part of another Italian-based favorite of mine. But the command on modern metal, especially with the harder riffs, score construction, vocals, Carol really shines as a lead. Their narratives, though, too, the stories they told in their songs, again, coupled with beautiful instrumentals and other agents at play, I was very impressed by the field of delivery that The End of an Era offered. And I have seen that, as I speak of evolution, right, I hope that maybe for any newcomer listeners, of course I welcome anybody, as I was saying, longtime fans like myself and developing listeners alongside me or any other new listeners to their work. I hope that this is going to be a fun opportunity for you that will certainly evolve. I have seen chatter on their social media that, in fact, the second album is being discussed. So hopefully we have some new work soon, or whenever that is. Open door, as I say, for any artist, but certainly for Never Obey Again. I'm looking forward to the future. And we have an opportunity to come back to one of their works. And as I said, all 9 pieces that we recognized together, I liked. But there's some standouts that really shine. This one included, Take Care of You. And I'm glad we got an opportunity to return to this one in particular, because as much as I spoke of it in favor in the beginning on our first consultation, and I'm walking in with an informed lens to the instrumental, but the visualizer is new, there's some layers to it that I didn't touch on that since have really pierced me. And it's a great score, beautiful vocal control. You'll see that if you've not yet humored Take Care of You. But the storyline of this piece, especially the ending, and the repetition effect of certain lines as scripted, I really connected with it just in my personal journeys. And music, again, that's why I pushed forward to the metal scene in terms of favorability first and foremost so many years ago. It was that open honesty and rawness of what so many artists speak to. Never Obey Again, of course, being no exception. And you'll see that if you take note of the narrative, especially towards the closure of this song. In the chorus sections, it's really sunk into me. I'll explain more, of course, on closure, because I want to let the visualizer do the talking if there's anything to see in terms of an adjacency of sentiment in conjunction to the narrative. But to return back to the song is great. And have an opportunity to go back into the world of Never Obey Again and maybe pitch roots for any new listeners that you have not yet discovered the graces of Never Obey Again. I hope you come to like them through this piece, or really any. Again, I recommend The End of an Era as an entire construction fully for you. And there's plenty of other tracks to recognize in terms of standouts. Well, all of them really in different respects, but this one shines. And I think you'll see that too for yourself if you've not yet humored it. I'm already getting the emotional pull. Getting a lot of Toxic Feelings vibes.
Here comes another day. I put myself away. Some unexpected things you say just threw me off the chair. Here comes another night. You're sharpening the knife to cut me open, get me crawling all the time.
Told you, vocals, this one really stands out to me. Those jumps, man. Carol's voice is becoming instantly recognizable for me. But here we go, the build, the explosiveness. Listen to that flutter. Well, it's more so on the previous line, but great balance too, and again how this track proceeds. Perfect break periods, instrumental score, isolation, it's fantastic. This one is very well paved. Bit of like a pop Taylor into the way the lyrics are controlled, but just again, this one really singles itself out my attention to it, and I haven't been able to shake it since. See, there's the flutter. The vulnerability of this song, again, is stated by the lyrics, and those particular scripts I was speaking of are coming up in seconds. That's communicated well so far. The facial expressions. See? It's there. It's perfectly communicated. Listen to all the layers too, even the subtle ones in the vocals here. Again, I loved this song on first appearances, but I didn't take into account every note of it. Really, that last shot helps to really see again the vocal differentiations on the final line. That sense of vulnerability of what the song speaks to on message. I didn't notice, and again, when you're in my position, to give you a bit of a window, at least in the way I think, if you're considering a work of music publicly, especially pieces that have an enhanced contemplativeness to them, like Take Care of You does, you try and give it the justice of not only covering the score and the ever agents that embody the instrumental side to the piece and give that aid, like the vocals, for example, but as well with the narrative. You try to take in every line, every layer, and really get the gist and the motivation for what the artist are speaking to, if in fact there is a relevant path that it serves as sort of a cathartic piece. Take Care of You does that, and I said as much. I mean, I don't remember exactly every comment I made, but I remember speaking again in great reverence to the score, vocals, all that. But I didn't notice every detail. Maybe some things are better fleshed out as well, of course, on subsequent re-listens, which again, Take Care of You individually, I've given many. That final shot, as I said, takes a lot of what I have noticed about this song since. Well, really every shot does this, but it's the later ones that I really get a sense for. Well, I'll come back to that. The vulnerability of the lyrics. And again, the score is fantastic. There's great balance. I've already commented most of this, so I'm just trying to sum things up, I guess. If you want my more in-depth thoughts, again, on the first appearance and witness to the score, that video is publicly available from the original encounter, Take Care of You. But just in summing up, again, it's a very strong score. The vocals, though, as I said, are really advanced with this one. The chorus section, I hear the voices for the echoes, that tail flutter. I love that effect. But the ambience in the background, the different layers that I now are registering with that final section. And to return to that last shot, and again, you see this spliced all the way through the video, the sense of vulnerability in script and message to what I would call, at least by one interpretation, like an abuse recovery story or a toxic relationship where somebody's come out of that miraculously. I can't relate enough to that, not in a romantic sense, but toxic relationships certainly, and being on the recovery end, which it's still a journey for me, of emotional and psychological verbal abuse. The rawness again and the authenticity of the performance of some of the shots too in the dark with the crossed lines really click. But it's that final shot with the 7 faces. I love how this mimics, by the way, the different vocal layers. I don't know if it's 7 specifically, but some of the backgrounds you can see again, those O's, and that's how it's depicted, where the other ones in a forward focus are the more superficial ones. Like the I remember all the nights of your hands around my neck. Like, miraculously, I say that I'm quite fortunate in this, because I know many people have been, and I don't know if this is a true story that Carol's telling, or if it's like from personal experience, or if this is a story that she's aware of, or maybe inspired by different stories, across the world or in the media. But it's a piece that comes off of such raw resonance and honesty that I respect it greatly. And it's unfortunate that it is such a commonality in our world that there are relationships that go this way with abusive partners, and how that victimizes individuals that certainly don't deserve it. I remember all the nights of your hands around my neck, but I'll scream louder than the lies I've been fed with. That's beautifully stated. And again, the repetition, that sense of empowerment for the listener, it's beautifully communicated. To have the mimicry, though, of an adjacent complement with the visualizer in the 7 faces, the emotions, my favorite being the one, if you're looking at it, because I know I'm doing this it's always hard to say, like, on the right or the left, because then you're like, well, if you're talking to somebody, like, in my mind, it's the one on the right, but then as you're looking at it, well, it'd be for you watching the video being the one on the right. But I don't know. The one okay, how are you watching this? The one in this direction? Anyway, what am I thinking of in terms of the symbolic parallel? It's some like clip art image. Like, it's like what is the one, I forget maybe if there's a particular descriptor for it, but the one they use oftentimes for theatrical arts with the different faces, right? And the masks where you have like the happy and the sad face. That, again, duality of emotion may be expanded beyond just 2. 7. The contemplativeness of the background shots, followed by the tragedy. Okay, going from outside inward to the center. Contemplativeness, at least in how I would describe this. Sadness, anger, serenity. I love that idea. But again, the rawness of the emotions, that one on the right, the first one on the right being my favorite, that anger and that indignancy to present circumstance with each word of that line. I remember all the nights of your hands around my neck, perfectly portrayed in an emotion for anybody. And I don't mean to say that if, I've noted this before with speaking about abuse, it's my opinion that, and I say this from personal experience because of stories that I've encountered from others, or maybe my, what's the word I'm looking for? My resistance to voicing any reality of what I've been through personally, because I know it might be met on deaf ears. It's my opinion that if you've not personally lived through any form of abuse, whether that is verbal, psychological, emotional, physical, sexual, anything like that, you don't understand. I'm not saying you can't relate or be compassionate, but you don't understand the full toll of damage that it takes on somebody, especially emotional. And again, I don't say that with any condemnation to anybody personally. I understand that it is very much an experience that tragically has to be lived to understand how damaging it is. But there is media coming alongside nowadays, and this is great to see, that is giving people who might not have that experience a window into that level of damage. And Never Obey Again is not just the only entry. There's many others I can think of, especially in the visual art space. Some favorites of mine, well, one in particular that constantly underappreciated Stephen King adaptation of Gerald's Game. That's one of the best portrayals of the effective abuse that I've ever seen personally. And there's others. That one really, it still gets me. I've watched that like 3 times now. That same level of emotional rawness, at least to a stretch, I get that here. Again, with this, the way that's portrayed with the 7 faces and figures, of all the same person, right? It's Carol, but the character of this song being the abuse victim, or at least, again, how I'm viewing it. It could be a song that's open to interpretation depending on how viewers approach this, right? Or what the artist envisioned. Again, I'm operating void of a declared narrative. But it seems to me particularly obvious, at least in the way what I glean from it, because again, of that last section, that level of anguish or pain, I think for anybody who's not personally experienced abuse, it's so well portrayed by that image. I respect it. I'm grateful to see that there's media to help recognize that reality, whether it's in music and through other people's stories. And I've covered a good range of songs that dip that way, and hopefully many more as part of phase 2. I'm hoping there are some more opportunities, because I have such a reverence for metal, as I've had for many years, because again, of that appreciated and allowed, permitted, honest space. Perhaps my resistance to being more honest in personal face-to-face settings about what I've been through is built out of the resistance that I experienced to appreciating why I've had such a love for metal, and that again being the honesty to speak to the brokenness of life in a way that people treat that, even still to this day, at least in certain settings, as a bit of a taboo. People weren't there to meet that need, and music was a great relief for me, metal specifically. And I know, at least among certain circles, because I lived through this, it wasn't welcomed, and I was treated with a bit of an adversarial demeanor where, I don't know, I won't be too judgy. It admittedly, it does piss me off. It's like people couldn't read between the lines. Maybe we live in a bit of a different time now. I think that people are starting to warm up a bit. Like I said, of abuse stories, it's told through music or anything of the like. You're getting a window for what that is like for the victim. And I think Never Obey Again, Take Care of You, or Never Obey Again's Take Care of You, beautifully demonstrates a tasting towards that, and the same respect of reverence that I award other projects in the visual space that have done such astounding portrayals. It's just in a couple seconds window, but that last image, it really works for me in that respect. I loved it. Great visual, with mostly just a performance on part of Carol, with some fun visualizers in the background by that last shot. I can't shake it. It's a perfect portrayal of Take Care of You on reality. I freaking love it. It's a great thumbnail, too. I'm probably going to use it for that. It's a great descriptor for the song. I hope you appreciated that as much as I did. Not just the video, of course, but the song. If that was your first time listening, I'd love to hear about it. But like I said, Never Obey Again is quite a promising name, and one that I love my first entrance to. And I hope for those of you who are new listeners to their work, or like me, are along for the ride of enjoying very capable work from them, I hope you really appreciated that song. It's a favorite for me, and I hope it was for you as well. With, of course, the open door permitted for anything new, and I'm looking forward to whatever next adventure that is that we get to go down the Never Obey Again road. As that second album hopefully evolves, I'm looking forward to it, and seeing more stories shared by this group with such apt delivery on music and on lyrical writing, plus the vocals. Again, they really shine here with this one. This is a piece of an incredible resonance on a variety of extremes, and that same capability exercised well here. I can't wait for the future with this group. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.